Hello, welcome back to Monday Mindfulness. Today we're going to be looking at deep breathing and a few different dynamics of that and a couple of ways that we can use that as a practice. So deep breathing is very useful in a lot of different ways. It can be used to nourish the body with oxygen. It can be used as a reset. So if we need to come back to our center, we can take a deep breath. If we're doing some sort of athletic practice, it can be very useful to have this habit of a long, deep, diaphragm-used breath where we really nourish the body well, like I was saying with the nourishment of oxygen. We can also use the breath as an interesting thing to witness and observe because we can consciously manipulate it and we can bring focus to it in very dynamic ways. And it's also an unconscious thing as well, so we can just let the body breathe naturally and see if we can allow the body just to breathe and also to witness that whole experience. So there's also the fact that the breath is always changing and moving. It's always a new piece of art to be witnessed and observed. So there's many, many different dynamics of the breath, and we can also tie it to other exercises. We can tie it to posture in the breath, which we've covered recently. We can also tie it to a mental function or even part of a mantra. And one way that I have been using it lately, because I've been going through some issues with Epstein-Barr virus, which makes me a bit flat when I have a relapse. And so I've gone away from the hard focus and really nailing in it and working the mind in that way and done more relaxed practices. And a lot of them have been just witnessing the breath. And when we witness the breath, we can focus on particular areas as well, like we can focus on the tip of the nose or the belly. Or one that I've been doing lately is just allowing the body to be nourished. So finding this sweet spot where the breath is feeling natural but really nourishing, and just taking in that whole sensation of long, deep breaths and just doing that for as long as I feel is the right time to practice for. If you've got time restrictions or if you just want to try it at first, you can just set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just start taking these long, deep, naturally kind of balanced breaths. So for an example, I tend to find I take more details in when my eyes are closed. And this time I'm naturally breathing in through my nose, out through my mouth. My attention is drifted to my posture and then just coming back to the breath with the next inhale. So this practice can really help us to slow down and just take time to breathe and notice the details and just bring ourselves to this gentle focus. It's not a hard focus, it's not a forced focus. It's a relaxed, gentle focus that can help us to find that graceful space and build that habit of grace in our lives. So this is one way that we can work with the breath. We can do a lot of different dynamics of the breath as far as juggling which nostril or where to breathe in from and out from. We can do a lot of changes to that, and that's pranayama is a whole video series unto itself. And what I'd like to do today is we've had this example of just allowing the breath to be nourishing and just to focus on the breath like a soft focus, taking in all of the lungs and all of the breath process. And another technique that's very much used in mindfulness is breath counting. And this is one of the ones that I was talking about being working of the mind to keep focused and to really build that habit. And if I'm tired, I don't tend to gravitate to these so much, but it's a balance, because if I'm feeling tired but starting to chipper up a bit, starting to get more vibrant, I'll use these practices to help just work that mind and start to head in the direction of being more focused and more clear and more vibrant again. So there's an amazing Kundalini yoga way of doing this practice, which is using I think it's the Gyan Gayatri mantra, and a posture like this. I'll put a link in the show notes, but that is an amazing one where we inhale and then we go with a one syllable or one word of a mantra. And then I'll give you an example now. Har Har Gobinde, Har Har Mukande, Har Har Adare, Har Har Apare, Har Har Haryan, Har Har Karyan, Har Har Nename, Har Har Akame. So that practice is very powerful. It can also help me to let go of attachment to getting it right, as well as being able to work that focus muscle and really in a dynamic situation, keep that graceful, gentle focus. So I'm not forcing it. It doesn't feel like I'm holding a whole bunch of tension, but I'm able to stay engaged in grace, which is very powerful. And I feel the same kind of dynamic comes up in this practice that we're going to practice together. And that's simply counting from 1 to 10 with each breath. So with each breath being one count. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep inhale, exhale, 1. Another deep inhale, exhale, 2. And we're going to count up to 10 and then back from 10 down to 1. And what you would do with this practice is, if you've got time to spare, it's a practice, we can adapt it to our lives and adjust it to whatever's happening in the moment. But what we'd like to do, if possible, is if we get even a hesitation where we're not sure on what the next number is, we've kind of drifted off, or we've forgotten what the next number is, then we start again at 1. And this becomes more challenging the more present you are with the breath as well. You may get distracted by many, many things, but getting a deep dive into the breath, we can kind of forget what the numbers are as well. So it helps us to keep that balance of focuses, keeping engaged with the breath, but still being able to just gently hold a different type of mental focus. So very, very powerful, often takes practice, and let's do it together now. So I'm going to count these numbers out loud, but I find it even more challenging and subtle when I do them just mentally counting. So experiment with it, see what resonates with you, and there may be different variations on the practice for different times. So we'll be counting from 1 to 10, then back down to 1. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll just flow through it this time, but in your own time, if you notice any hesitation, any forgetfulness, starting again at 1 and going through. It's a great way to build that focus muscle, especially gentle, graceful focus muscle. So find yourself a place where you're going to be comfortable for the next few minutes. Take a practice breath or two. We don't need to force these breaths. Just allowing them to be full. Closing the eyes down. And if you'd like to pause this and do the practice yourself, please do so. If not, Taking a long deep breath in and breathing out to start. Breathing in. One. Two. Three. Four. Five. Six. Seven. Eight. Nine. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And just staying still, letting the body breathe naturally, letting you just simply be. If you want to sit for longer, simply pause the video. Otherwise, just coming back to some long, deep breaths. Giving your body any adjustments or stretches it needs. Slowly bringing your awareness all the way out from the center of the body into the fingers and toes. Taking a few more long, deep breaths as you slowly come back into the space. Opening up your eyes. So there are a few ways that we can use this beautiful meditation tool that we can take around with us, the breath. Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure. I hope it was beneficial for you. Please, if you'd like to share any feedback or questions, just leave us comments here. And also, if you would like to subscribe to get these sessions every week, just hit the subscribe button and the bell if you want to. So thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful week, and namaste, my friends.